because last time I was at Vidcon, I was here in 2015 as a fan, and I was in the audience at the LGBTQ+ panel, crying my eyes out, and I didn't know I would react that way, and I was 19, and I thought I was way too old to be acting this way, but looking back, it was my first time in a safe space. It was my first time I was in a room full of people. I love you too! It was my first time I was in a room full of people that were just like me, and I was going through a really hard time in my folks' house, and it was actually really recently, like really soon after VidCon, that I was sleeping on friends' couches, and I was, just in LA, and I was in my car, and I was just like, I'm just gonna do me, and YouTube just happened to work out, which is really, really funny. I've been doing it since I was 11, and then it became a job when it needed to be. So I had two coming out experiences because I'm trans. So first was coming out as gay, and then it was like, well, actually my gender is a thing. So it was really interesting because my coming out video as transgender wasn't just like, oh, I'm this and here's what it is. It was like, I'm this and I'm telling you because I'm gonna change my name and I'm gonna go on hormones. So it was really the start of the journey. For the longest time, I always had a really young, like, trans kid audience, like a really strong trans kid audience. So I get, messages from kids being like, you helped me figure out I was trans. I'm like, I don't even know if I'm trans. Like, how would I help you? So it was always so hard for me because I'm like, these kids, like, know what they are, and they said I help them, but like, I'm drowning as well. So, I mean, the whole thing with my channel is in no way am I saying, I have all the answers. Are you sad and you don't know what you identify as? I'll help you. It's really like, hey, I have been going through things, and so have you, and I'm not alone, and you're not alone. We're all here together.
Ingrid, you had a lot of videos before you were just, people stepping outside of there. I would love for you to share a story.
Yeah, well, I just got off of tour, and so I traveled, full of humans. So I traveled the country, and it was so amazing because I went to, I think a total of 18 cities, and every city I went, whether it was the deep south of Marietta, Georgia, whether it was North Carolina, where, that's where they originally passed the transgenders, like, kids can't use their respective bathroom laws, whether it was Portland, where a lot of parents that came were queer and came with their wives or husbands, or Toronto, which is like Canada, so they're fine. It was like, everyone was the same. And it was like, it was so amazing to see where it's like, whoa, a kid in San Francisco would be best friends with this kid that's in Georgia. And I think it's like, it's so easy to be a sad teenager. It's so easy to be a sad teenager. I was so upset for so long, and it's easy to be in your bubble of school and home and be like, this is what the world is. But it's just not. There's so much more out there, and it's cliche, but you just have to hold on because there's so much more out there. If I would have I was a kid who was a self-harmer. I was a kid who had to sleep in their car some nights because that's all they could do. And it's like, dude, if I didn't do that, I wouldn't be here today, and that's sad. So you gotta keep doing your own thing. And there's so many people. I met so many really just inspiring parents that are just here, like with their 13-year-old trans boy or their pansexual daughter, and they're like, oh, I didn't get it at first because they grew up in a different world. They grew up in a time period where, even if they were okay with trans kids or queer kids, the people that they knew that were trans or queer were so in the closet or really underground, or they weren't happy or didn't seem happy, and the world's different today, and you can do things and you can be who you want to be. So a lot of times I feel like you just have to give like your parents all the information and be like, yo, just super upfront, this is who I am, these people that are also like me, and it's not gonna change. But there's so many people out there that will love and accept you. And yeah, I am on season 2 of Hella Gay, which is also with full screen, where I equally travel the country and met awesome people that are doing awesome things in the community. And again, there's so many people out there that are doing their thing, and you can also do that as well.
So,
it's so funny when people have like the conversation like there's only 2 genders, or like they don't like get like trans people, or like people that are like gender non-conforming, or like people that are like outside the 2 genders. Like, I think it's so funny because it's like, if you don't get it, like that's something like I say to people all the time, like if they don't get it, like congratulations, like you've never like shuddered at the sound of like your own name, you've never felt unsafe in a bathroom, you've never like every single day had a battle with something that you were just born with. Like that's so cool that you don't get. I was talking to someone and they were like, they're like talking about how like I came out, and they were like, oh yeah, my cousin just came out as a trans guy, and they're like, it's kind of like when someone says that this is what they said to me, they're like, it's kind of like when someone says that their mom died. They're like, I don't get that, I can't relate, but all I can do is like support and be like, oh. And it's kind of a similar thing, and it's funny when people are like, that's not true, that's not real. It's like, dude, I'm sure you have problems with your weight, or your race gets hate, or your religion gets hate. Everyone has something. Gender just happens to be my thing. Why would you spend your time putting down other people? Like, that's so strange to me. We literally have one life, or we have multiple, and then we're just gonna die and wake up and do it all over again and not remember all this, and that's worse.
So, and you might be reincarnated as a genderqueer person, so shut up.
Jesus. I don't know, it's just funny. Don't spend your time putting down other people. Just like, do your own thing.
And my parents won't support me. It's affecting my mental health. What would you do if you were in my position?
Yeah, I mean, I think that people react poorly, especially parents, because they don't have all the information or they're afraid. That's when people react poorly. So definitely, I mean, I always find solace in the fact that like no one ever thinks they're the bad guy. Like everyone always thinks they're like they're the superhero of the story. No one's like, hey, I'm gonna misgender my child today because I hate them. Like that, like 9 times out of 10 probably doesn't happen. They're probably thinking like LGBT is evil and they're taking my kid away and they're not being themselves, or you know. It was so funny because like I just went on tour and I put on like safe spaces across the country and talked to parents and kids about like queer and trans stuff, and this kid was like, oh, you know, my mom won't let me get a binder because she says like, oh, you just want to be like Miles. And I was like, that's so funny because I was told, oh, I'm just this because I want to be like my best friend, or I want to be like this person in the media. And it's like, it's just a cycle, and some people are drawn to certain things, some people aren't, and it's like, you don't know what you are from day one. You start being drawn to things because you start to find who you are, and it's all valid. So to answer the question, what to do with your parents in the situation, I would literally say, write everything down in a notebook, break out the PowerPoint, be like, hey, this is who I am. Don't expect your parents to know like what all these terms mean out the gate. Be like, oh, I'm pansexual, or I'm transgender. Here's what that means. Here's words that you can use. Here are words that you cannot use that's very offensive to me. Here are people in the media that are also like me. I mean, we live in a time where we have YouTube. Send them someone's coming out video that kind of closely identifies with you, and be like, this is it. Give all the information you can, and give time. You know, my mom has been super awesome and is like been super supportive of me, which I mean I never thought would have happened, and it took some time, and then it did, and some people it didn't, but it may in the future, and you literally just have to give time. And I was like, oh yeah, I use these pronouns and this is my name, but if you can't say that today, totally understand, but just please do not use my birth ones because I won't be able to handle it because it'll make me feel bad. As simple as that. And if you do slip up, that's fine. Just like, you can apologize or like, oh, this, or we'll kind of have an understanding. But yeah, give all the information and give time.
Yeah. So, okay, next.
Oh shit, I'm trans. I think I identify with that alone. But yeah, no, I started YouTube back in 2007. I was 11 years old. And I mean, from a really early age, like something was up with my gender is the only way that I could put it. But I feel like, you know, the moment that you're born, people are putting you in certain clothes, right? They already have a name picked out for you. Maybe there's a nursery with certain colors or certain like objects around you. From a really early age, you're kind of told who you're supposed to be. And then as you get older and your spirit comes out and you start to gravitate towards certain music or certain people, and you start to maybe stray, sometimes you don't, and like, cool to those people, you start to stray from what other people, like your parents, have kind of told you who you're gonna be, then you start to hear like, oh, you're not being yourself. And that's something that I heard, and that's just, I mean, not true. These are the formative years where you're discovering who you are, and I think that you can't get to point C and point D unless you're at point A and point B. So, I mean, for me, the longest time, I was like, I'm not like happy, but like I'm not this, right? Because other people are that, and like that's not me. But it's like from the get-go, it's not like you're given like a card where it's like, yo, this is your life and this is who you are. You have to figure that out for yourself. So yeah, I was making videos for a long time since I was a little kid, and then I came out with my sexuality at first, and I didn't really speak about it online until a little while later because my coming out experience wasn't that good. And then I was like, well, I can never come out as anything else because like that sucks. So if like, you know, with my gender, like that's just like, it's just what it is. But then I literally I overboiled, and I was just like, I need to go on hormones, and I need to change my name, and that's why I ended up coming out as trans, because it was less of the first time I came out where it's like, hey, this is like who I am, I'm letting you know. It was like, well, this is who I am, and I'm telling you because I'm gonna start something. But yeah, it's been awesome, and the support's been really cool. Yeah, it's weird that people care so much. I mean, like, there's only one rule to life, it's just to be kind to one another. The rest you just make up as you go. Everything's about character development and just growing. And about, like, getting hate and stuff. I mean, for me, I'm kind of on an opposite spectrum of you guys. I just, like, won't read comments because, like, I'll see a mean comment and it's like, okay. Like, I know what it's like to be like the 11-year-old, the 12-year-old, the 13, the 14-year-old who's like trying to find answers and like trying to like look to someone and be like, oh, you're giving me language to how, you know, I feel about myself, or oh, there's validation because this human. I mean, I feel like people validate people. If you're a strong pansexual woman, you can validate a young trans boy. As long as someone's being authentically themselves, it kind of gives us like the subconscious thing in our brains where it's like, oh, that's okay, like no one's mad at you, like you can just do whatever, cool, I'll do whatever too. So I know like what that was like, so I put anything out there that I want to make because I'm like, well, I just won't read the comments then, like that's fine. What about you?
Yeah, I think the
Like you, and that's so fine. I was in high school and I had like a really hard time because I was trying to be something that I thought would make me liked, right? So like I wore my hair down, like I wore the dresses, I tried to do the makeup because I was like, oh, that's like what's happening, like that's the situation, like that's what needs to happen. That wasn't me, right? So I made friends with people that I was like, oh, if I was being like this, like who I am, you wouldn't like me. So then the people that don't like me currently would like me, and then I was like, wait, so then who are my friends? And at the end of the day, just make sure you like you first and foremost, and all the good people are gonna come out the woodworks. It's so easy to be stuck in your bubble of like school or home or, you know, even different pockets of the internet where you're like, oh, like this is the way the community is, or like these way people are acting towards me. There's so much world out there, and I feel like we're lucky enough nowadays to be growing up at a time, literally you're all like teenagers, like relatively teenagers, in a time where you can go on the computer, you have all the information at your fingertips, and you can also talk to people that are just like you from all other parts of the world where you wouldn't have been able to otherwise. So definitely feel empowered by your chosen family, and like you're never gonna please everyone, make sure you please yourself first.
Block people too if you need to.
Yes.
Like too many people are like, I'm not deleting, I'm not gonna block them. Listen, it's your profile, it's your social media content, like delete it. Like, you know, I was literally on You Now yesterday and
I don't treat my channel or anything I do as like, hey, are you sad and trans? Or are you sad and homosexual? Guess what? I can help you and I have all the answers. My name is Miles McKenna. It's like really just like, hey, like I've like gone through things and you've also gone through similar things, and like that's awesome. Like we're all like human here, and like I get it, and like I'm not alone and you're not alone. And I feel like it's such a misconception where it's like, you know, like last time I was at Vidcon, I was here as a fan, and I was like at the LGBTQ+ panel crying, asking how do you come out, because I don't think I can do it. So that was my last Vidcon, and like this Vidcon's been completely different, and it's such a misconception where it's like, you know, you come as like a fan, and it's like, oh, this person helped me so much, and like whatever, but it's like it's the same from the other side. Like you think it's weird, like, oh, they're on a screen all the time, that's when I see them. It's like, dude, you were a comment 5 seconds ago. Like it's so like YouTube's always been a place where I can vent and I can be the most me possible. So it's a two-way street. And yeah, so I mean, if I'm someone's first source of finding like language or finding validation, like that's amazing. And all I can say is there's other people that were that for me, go be that for someone else, because you definitely can be.
on what's going on, call your legislators, like, sorry, I'm an activist, so I'm like, go do it, support us.
I had like such a different experience. It's been great.
How many months on T?
I'm 4 months on T this week.
This is my voice.
Yeah, so I'm a fresh one. So I'm like, it's amazing and my life's better. But yeah, no, I've watched testosterone videos since I was like 11 years old, and then I started them 4 months ago, and every day I feel better than I did the day before, and the new changes and like the chin hairs and like it's all good. My voice has dropped a lot. Muscle growth is dope. And yeah, no, I love it. And I heard from someone saying like they said to me, yeah, like if you start T, which is testosterone, like you'll kind of know within the first month that this is for you, and that's like something that I've heard, and it was like immediately I'm like, this is it. Like just like the thought of like, whoa, these changes are gonna be happening, and like every day is new, and like trying to like hear my voice changes. Yeah, it's been awesome, and I'm not, fully content yet. I just know I'm on the road to it. And when I first started taking them, I kind of got more dysphoric in a way, because I was like, oh, well, damn, I've been missing this. Like, I could have been doing this the whole time. Like, why didn't I start this before? Like, it was really, which I guess is like a good thing to have. But I'm excited to continue on the journey of it. But it's been groovy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm Miles McKenna. My YouTube channel is MilesChronicles. Recent projects. Season 2 of my show Hella Gay just came out. You've heard of it. So it's a show on the full screen platform where this season I travel the country and talk to awesome people in the LGBTQ plus world. They're doing awesome things like trans non-binary twins living in Michigan to people that work at the White House that have red mohawks and wear high heels and also visit the Pulse nightclub and talk to that community. So lots of really cool things, and the hope is just that you get validation, the language, or you just feel a little less alone.